Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick. Actual retail price. Ladies and gentlemen, before we take even one step into the realm of anything pursuity, I want to say a big, warm, heartfelt thank you to every single one of you for helping this channel reach 100,000 subscribers. I guess it happened yesterday, I think while I was making my video. That's right. Thanks to every single one of you. Not you, CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki. Not you. No cake for this woman. And as you know, around here, we celebrate every milestone with cake. And look at this bad boy right here. Now, don't worry. There's plenty for everybody. It's a big cake. But that cake right there, that describes me to a T. Because it's... No, it doesn't. It looks good, though. It looks, I don't know what kind it is. What do you think? Don't worry. It's use your own imagination flavor. That's right. You ever had a cake like that? Well, now you have, ladies and gentlemen. So use your own imagination. Grab yourself a piece of cake. Say hello to your neighbor. Thanks to every single one of you. I love all of you. Not you, Susan. But the rest of you, I love all of you. Grab yourself a piece of cake and let's get pursuity. Got a little cue for you here. How many we got, John?
6.
Nice. 2682, 53 minutes after the hour, 3 p.m. We get this Hill link right here, and we're going to go through this a little bit. Let's check it out. From John Solomon at the Hill, the case for Russia collusion against the Democrats. Now that both the House and Senate investigative committees have cleared Donald Trump of Democrat-inspired allegations of Russia collusion, it is worth revisiting one anecdote that escapes significant attention during the hysteria, but continues to have U.S. security implications. As Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton worked with Russian leaders, including Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and then-President Dmitry Medvedev, to create U.S. technology partnerships with Moscow's version of Silicon Valley, a sprawling high-tech campus known as Skolkovo. Clinton's handprint was everywhere on the 2009 through 2010 project, the tip of a diplomatic spear to reboot U.S.-Russia relations after years of hostility prompted by Vladimir Putin's military action against the former Soviet Republic and now U.S. ally Georgia. A donor to the Clinton Foundation, Russian oligarch Viktor Vekselberg led the Russian side of the effort, and several American donors to the Clinton charity got involved. Clinton's State Department facilitated U.S. companies working with the Russia project, and she personally invited Medvedev to visit Silicon Valley. The collaboration occurred at the exact same time Bill Clinton made his now infamous trip to Russia to pick up a jaw-dropping $500,000 check for a single speech. The former president's trip secretly raised eyebrows inside his wife's State Department internal emails show. That's because he asked permission to meet Vekselberg, the head of Skolkovo, and Arkady Dvorkovich, a senior official of Rosatom, the Russian nuclear giant seeking states permission to buy Uranium One, a Canadian company with massive U.S. uranium reserves. Years later, intelligence documents show both the Skolkovo and Uranium One projects raised serious security concerns. In 2013, the U.S. military's leading intelligence think tank in Europe sounded alarm that the Skolkovo project might be a front for economic and military espionage. Skolkovo is an ambitious enterprise aiming to promote technology transfer, generally by inbound direct investment and occasionally through selected acquisitions. As such, Skolkovo is arguably an overt alternative to clandestine industrial espionage, with the additional distinction that it can achieve such a transfer on a much larger scale and more efficiently, EUCOM's Intelligence Bulletin wrote in 2013. Implicit in Russia's development of Skolkovo is a critical question, a question that Russia may be asking itself. Why bother spying on foreign companies and government laboratories if they will voluntarily hand over all the expertise Russia seeks? A year later, the FBI went further and sent letters warning several U.S. technology companies that had become entangled with Skolkovo that they risked possible espionage, and an agent in the Bureau's Boston office wrote an extraordinary op-ed to publicize the alarm. Skolkovo may be a means for the Russian government to access our nation's sensitive or classified research development facilities and dual-use technologies with military and commercial application, Assistant Special Agent in Charge Lucia Ziobro wrote in the Boston Business Journal. The FBI had equal concern about Rosatom's acquisition of uranium-1. An informer named William Douglas Campbell had gotten inside the Russian nuclear giant in 2009 and gathered evidence that Rosatom's agents in the United States were engaged in a racketeering scheme involving kickbacks, extortion, and bribery. Campbell also obtained written evidence that Putin wanted to buy uranium-1 as part of a strategy to obtain monopolistic domination of the global uranium markets, including leverage over the U.S. Campbell also warned a major in-kind donor to the Clinton Global Initiative was simultaneously working for Rosatom while the decision for U.S. approval was pending before Hillary Clinton's department. Ultimately, her department and the Obama administration approved the transaction. The evidence shows the Clintons financially benefited from Russia, personally and inside their charity. At the same time, they were involved in U.S. government actions that rewarded Moscow and increased U.S. security risk. The intersections between the Clintons, the Democrats, and Russia carried into 2016. When a major political opposition research project designed to portray GOP rival Donald Trump as compromised by Moscow and was launched by Clinton's presidential campaign and brought to the FBI. Glenn Simpson's Fusion GPS research firm was secretly hired by the Clinton campaign and Democratic Party through their law firm Perkins Coie. Simpson then hired retired British intelligence operative Christopher Steele, whom the FBI learned was desperate to defeat Trump, to write an unverified dossier suggesting that Trump's campaign was colluding with Russia to hijack the election. Simpson, Steele, and Perkins Coie all walked Trump-Russia-related allegations into the FBI the summer before the election, prompting agents who openly disliked Trump to launch a counterintelligence probe of the GOP nominee shortly before election day. And I guess that's kind of the gist of it right there, right? Simpson and Steele also went to the news media to air the allegations in what senior Justice Department official Bruce Orr would later write was as a Hail Mary effort to influence the election. Congressional investigators have painstakingly pieced together evidence that shows the Clinton Research Project had extensive contact with Russians. Okay, so that sums it up really, really nicely there. And now this is a great article, of course, from John Solomon, and every time he puts something out, there is always going to be some good nuggets here. But it looks like we've got ourselves some Russian collusion indeed. However, it just seems to lead back to the Clinton Foundation. Q says, define projection. Well, I think we all get what that means, right? How do you fix something that is known to be broken? Duct tape, everything. Unless it's corrupt, then you probably need to do something else. You first need to remove those responsible. That's a good idea too. Think FBI, DOJ, exit list. Well, we've talked about that extensively, and I'm always surprised at our friends over there on the left. And whenever you're debating your friends or your family or whatever, bring that up. Why is it that the FBI and DOJ got cleaned out the way it did? Was that just a political witch hunt? And if it's possible for that to be a political witch hunt, is it not also possible that spying on the president is also a political witch hunt? How do you restore the image, public faith of our most prestigious law enforcement institutions? Well, you've got some explaining to do. You got to get some stuff done. You got to hold the people that were guilty of whatever accountable. And then you've got to put good people in there, and you've got to show some good faith. Let's face it, we're not stupid either. We want to see our law enforcement agencies act right. And that's only then will we establish any kind of trust there. Hold people accountable precisely. And we've got a whole laundry list of people. Remember, folks, Andrew McCabe's got a grand jury going on. And likely James Comey, too, got a grand jury going on. It's going to be a big, big deal. Equal justice under the law. The battle begins as seen today with public opinion. The fight to win public favorability. The fight to control the narrative. How did Democrats control the narrative? Well, in the past, they just bought it out. And they controlled all of it. And they were pretty good at it, to be honest with you. They owned Hollywood, and they owned all the media, and they've owned all the print media. So anything that you would see would be fake news, essentially. Fake news media, push of by design narrative, daily updates, 4 a.m. And I think most of you guys know what the 4 a.m. talking points are if you're kind of new to this. It's essentially when these main conglomerates send out their news scripts to everybody. And Q's liking to call it here fake wood. Number 2, fake wood being our media, our Hollywood, all of it, the whole thing, all of our public media, fake wood. Echo of by design narrative. Of course, they were all getting the same script, so they're all going to echo the same talking points. And we've even seen this on videos of them saying literally the same words. Social media stream promote of by design narrative plus censor, block, ban of challengers of that narrative. Well, I know all about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you what, I'm thankful to have gotten to 100,000 subscribers. But like I told you in my video yesterday, I was editing something and I was just watching my homepage and I noticed 500 subscribers just gone in a blink of an eye. And that's what we battle, on a day-to-day basis, trying to bring this to you. People that have been, and I'm sure you have your own experiences. You've been banned off of whatever social media platform it is. They want to do anything to keep this narrative, from reaching to the top, right? And so they'll block you, they'll shadow ban you, and a lot of times you won't even know that it's happening to you, and that's sort of the point, right? You just sort of get buried in the shuffle. Do they provide evidence to support their conclusions? No, they never have, and that's why I make quick burn videos. POTUS, Russia narrative. Evidence? None. Well, I would disagree. I wouldn't say none. We've got plenty. We've got plenty suggesting that there is a narrative with Russia and the Democrats. But yeah, with POTUS and Russia narrative, none at all. POTUS racist narrative, evidence? None. As a matter of fact, what we're starting to see, especially with all these blackface stories coming out, is how racist the Democratic Party has really essentially always been, and they've just projected it onto us. But to be fair, it worked for a long time. POTUS. You can play this game all day long. None. Yeah, it looks like it's Teflon Don, bulletproof POTUS. And they don't seem to be able to nail anything. Look, it's been 2 years. You'd think that if something was going to come out, it would have normally come out in the primaries. And here we are 2 years into his presidency. What do they count on? They count on essentially their loyal crew and their bought out media. How many experiments have been conducted by the CIA regarding mind control? Well, your guess is as good as mine. I would assume it's in the thousands at this point. I don't know. Maybe it would overwhelm us all if we really knew the numbers. It's hard to know the numbers because I'm sure a lot of it is documented. A lot of it probably is not. Psych 101, if you hear and see something over and over and over again by multiple supposedly credible news agencies, elected officials, actors, actresses, documentaries on TV, movies, internet, social media, foreign press, etc., all pushing the same narrative conclusion, what happens? Well, you start to believe it. You get badgered with it, right? That's why every time you go into the airport, it's CNN, right? Every time you go into a restaurant, it's CNN. You're getting the same thing. And even if you don't agree with it, if you hear it long enough, you're going to start thinking, well, maybe it really is true. And then, of course, in Hollywood, or fake wood as you want to call it, these actors and actresses are giving themselves awards every single month. They're always patting themselves on the back, right? And of course, these news reporters are no different. They're always winning these prestigious awards, quote unquote, right? Because they want you to think that they're credible. So they're just going to keep padding their stats. Do factless claims become facts in the minds of many? Of course. Clearly, we've seen it. You're probably dealing it within your own friend circle or family. Do they count on the fact that with work, family, stresses of life, etc., that the typical person does not have enough time in the day to research topics for themselves and therefore would believe narratives projected in the echo chamber without the need to provide facts or substance other than opinion? Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, be straight with yourself. Is that you? Because it's okay. Look, how many of us have family? We've got people. We got, baseball practice or soccer practice or whatever it is. You're running your kids everywhere. You don't have time to research everything. I get that. So many people don't. And that's why I do what I do. I got frustrated seeing it, and I had a little time to do it. So, at the end of the day, people just want to know what's up. They want to be treated like a human. They want to be left to their own devices, and you should be given the respect to make your own decisions on these stories. We all know that's not going to happen with the lamestream media, right? Why do they try so hard to keep you divided by race, gender, class? Because if we're fighting ourselves, we're not fighting them. Notice an increase in this push over the past 2 years. That's been extreme. I think you all have seen it. A lot of you are probably here because of it. Are you stronger together, united, or divided? Well, that's an easy answer, but we got to be careful with that at all times, right? If you dare to challenge their narrative, are you cast out, banned by society as a threat, conspiracy theorist, etc.? Are you cast out by members of your own family? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys have. Some of you have sent me some really incredible stories, and of course, I've got stories of my own. I'm pretty thankful. I'm lucky within my own family, but my circle of friends definitely has diminished in a lot of ways. And of course, when you put yourself out on Front Street making content like I do, you open yourself up to all kinds of hate. But at the end of the day, I feel much better because I got cake over here and I've got 100,000 of you. So I'd say I came out with a big win, and so did you. Divided, group think. Well, we're not trying to group think. We're just trying to think, but with a group. Group with think. Think with group. They do not want you to think for yourself. A free-thinking, logical person who draws conclusions based on facts are, put simply, a threat to their control, power grip. All they care about is control. With control comes personal gain. Yeah, look at this point. They're not trying to sell us any politics. This Green New Deal isn't, anything to write home about, and none of their policies are. The fact of the matter is they just want to retain power to keep from getting exposed all their knuckleheadedry. They want to keep you poor and in need of government assistance. Bigger the government, the more control they have, the more power they possess. Precisely. When you are in need, you are weak. When you're weak, you are not strong. When you're not strong, you don't fight back. And notice that Q capitalized that, fight back. Is this as real as it gets? They never thought she would lose. Why? See above regarding control. We all understand that. Transparency is the only way forward. Transparency is the only way to prove to the public that everything sold to you as truth was nothing but a fake narrative designed to keep you, the people, powerless and keep them in control, i.e. in power. Fake news, propaganda arm of the Democrat machine, and it always sort of has been. And we have to be careful with anybody, right? It doesn't matter what your politics are. Look, propaganda is propaganda, and we need to make sure that transparency is the only way forward, and that includes ideas that agree with your own. Sole responsibility is to prevent truth from ever being disseminated to the masses. Well, I doubt there's anybody really watching my channel that doesn't understand that quite well at this point. Mass infiltration everywhere. Transparency is the only way forward regarding public opinion. Prosecution is the only way forward regarding saving and defending the rule of law. Prosecution and transparency is the only way to save our way of life. Well said. Let's move on to the next post for now. Post 2683, nearly an hour later, 52 minutes after the hour of 4 p.m. We get this Twitter link right here to oh boy, what a shot. 13th week protests, ongoing protests in all cities in France. Mainstream media, a few protesters. That looks a little bit more than a few right there. Protests against Macron government, high taxes, and labor laws. So socialism. More than 1,000 arrested, hundreds wounded, and multiple dead. Well, this is absolutely heartbreaking. And seeing the police attack the citizens is absolutely terrible. And I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of a lame feed. I get a lot of hard time connection when I try to make a recording and go on Twitter for these videos. As you can see, it just buffers where I'm at. Yeah, there you go. But there you go. But as you can see, the crew is ripped up and ready to go. They've all got their yellow vests, and I think there's a lot of Americans that are thinking, hey, maybe it's time we don our yellow vest. Who knows? Maybe it is. I'm not one to say either way. But at some point, we've got to let our government know we're not taking it anymore. Would you know if not posted by individuals on social media? No, I don't suppose you would, and that's kind of a scary thing if you think about it, right? Fake news attempting to control the narrative by not providing coverage. That's how they've always done it, and that's how they're going to continue to do it until they go out of business. Do the protests in EU go against the narrative that majority of people are for globalism, open borders, and mass immigration? Well, we know it not to be true, but if you only paid attention to your TV, would you? Number 1, delusion of citizen voice. Number 2, delusion of citizen vote. Number 3, delusion of national independence. And that's how it goes. They take away your voice. They take away your platform. Next thing you know, you can't encourage people to vote. Next thing you know, it doesn't matter because your vote doesn't matter anymore. And there goes your national independence. But the sad thing is this right here. Police turned against its own citizens. It is heartbreaking. It's so sad to see. And my heart goes out to all you out there in France that are dealing with this. And, I'm really impressed with the fact that they decided to go ahead and do this and hit the streets and show up in the numbers that they've done. It says a lot about them. Citizens turned against its own police. People versus people. And that's what it ends up being. Controlled up media. Prevent mass awareness. If the news doesn't report the facts, being the truth, how do people get informed in order to be heard? Well, they don't, right? That's the whole point. Silence the people, localize disruption, target leaders of disruption, quietly take action. Yeah, you don't have to beat these guys. You just remove them, right? You just take them away. You take away their platform. You take away their voice. And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, everyone's forgotten about them. Deploy scare tactics and political crosstalk. Control the volume. Yeah, they can kind of say, hey, all right, we get you. We hear what you're saying. It's probably this guy's fault. And they start deflecting. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, like I said, everybody's forgotten about the problem. The media no longer represents the will of the people. Think for yourself. Research for yourself. Trust yourself. Sheep no more. Q. And at the end of the day, that's all you can really do, right? Channels like my own can only kind of try and help offer something up. But at the end of it all, you're going to have to decide for yourself what's true. And once you kind of take that upon yourself to do so, I think it's not so daunting anymore. You know, obviously it's a lot more work. But if you want to get to the truth, you got to dig a little bit. Let's move on to the next post. Post 2684, 4 minutes after the hour of 5. Q takes us back to this post from December. And this is in regards to the Army Corps of Engineers being the Red Castle, and they are located in Greencastle, Indiana. Then we get this Twitter link right here to Donald J. Trump, who posted this on February 10th. President is on sound legal ground to declare a national emergency. There have been 58 national emergencies declared since the law was enacted in 1976, and 31 right now that are currently active. So this is hardly unprecedented. Congressman Tom McClintock, and Donald Trump is basically quoting him. Well, he is indeed correct. Q says stage set. Public border wall fight necessary to bring public awareness regarding true intentions of the Democrat Party. Anon's new narrative fight, dark to light. Yeah, look, I think this whole border wall issue is really a dog and pony show, but it's an important one. Now, if you've been following my channel or ones like it, you've known for a long time now that we've already had the money to build the wall. This whole debacle that is going on in the media is simply for show, but it's a very important one, because what I think it's going to eventually lead to is the human trafficking element of this. To just talk about border security is a little bit nebulous, I think, for the unhinged left. They don't really get that. They don't really see the numbers. But when they realize how this is connected with Planned Parenthood, human trafficking, the Clinton Foundation, when they start to see all these connections, they're going to see the horrible, horrible nature of all this, and they'll really, really start changing their mind. And we've kind of known that all along, but we're only starting to just see this now. We're still seeing the business connections of it, but I don't think people have really understood the whole idea of this. And once the stage is set, we can go ahead and have this fight. But it looks to me like with this looming possibility of another shutdown coming up very, very soon here, Trump is dug in his heels, and it's going to force the Democrats to really go one way or another. Now, what I think is probably going to happen is that we're going to have a major narrative shift. Now, that could be the nomination of William Barr. It could be a lot of things. That would be the one that would stick out to me most immediately. But my point is that when that happens, and all of a sudden everyone's going, like I said yesterday, for the jugular after William Barr, even their own base is going to start saying, look, this is a little too much. I thought we were mad about the wall. Now we're mad about Barr. We were mad about Kavanaugh. They're going to get exhausted. And that's what they're doing. They're exhausting their base. And with that, comes sort of the falling apart of this entire narrative. And that seems to be what the stage being set really, really is. Once that can happen, then you can start introducing the crimes and people will start buying into it. But that seems to be the narrative fight. You can let me know what you think down below. But this fight for the wall has always been so much more than just border security. And Q has said it, and I think you guys all understand this. But once we really get to this human trafficking element, people will really see what this fight is all about. Let's move on to the next post, 2685. 13 minutes after the hour of 7 p.m., we get this YouTube link right here. And it's some quotes from Reagan. It's about a 2-minute video. I'm going to play it for you, but I'm going to play it a little bit sped up for you just so we can get through it quicker and so I don't get hit for copyright. So check it out.
Ours was the first revolution in the history of mankind that truly reversed the course of government, and with 3 little words: we the people. We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car, and we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do. We, the people, are free. This belief has been the underlying basis for everything I've tried to do these past 8 years. But back in the 1960s, when I began it seemed to me that we'd begun reversing the order of things, that through more and more rules and regulations and confiscatory taxes, the government was taking more of our money, more of our options, and more of our freedom. I went into politics in part to put up my hand and say, stop. I was a citizen politician, and it seemed the right thing for a citizen to do. I think we have stopped a lot of what needed stopping, and I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
You can run and tell that, homeboy.
You heard the Gipper. Government works for us, not the other way around, and we will remind you of that fact every single day until you get it. Ladies and gentlemen, this mainstream media narrative is folding, and as this QAnon movement, the freedom movement, whatever you want to call it, the Great Awakening starts to spread, we're seeing more and more how irrelevant these mainstream media knuckleheads are, and we can get back to this kind of narrative that was dreamed of by guys like Ronald Reagan. Let's move on to 2686. 24 minutes after the hour at 8 p.m. We get this link right here. Takes you to liveaction.org. Child sex trafficking cover-up. Planned Parenthood covers up child sex trafficking. So check this out. This investigation that these people did. And they made this little film here. And I would highly suggest that you check it out. It's about an 11-minute film. I'm not going to play it for you here. But it's summed up right here. A Planned Parenthood manager in New Jersey coaches a man and a woman posing as sex traffickers on how to secure secret abortions, STD testing, and contraception for their underage female sex slaves, and how to make their whole operation look as legit as possible. Manager Amy Woodruff, LPN of Planned Parenthood, Central New Jersey's Perth Amboy Center, warns the pimp and his prostitute to have their trafficked underage girls lie about their ages to avoid mandatory reporting laws, and advise if they're a minor, just tell them to put down that they're students, she says. For the most part, we want as little information as possible. Following the release of this video, Planned Parenthood fired clinic manager Amy Woodruff. Phil Skinsler, executive director of Planned Parenthood of Central Jersey, said the following. Let me see if I can get it here. We were profoundly shocked when we viewed the videotape released this morning, which depicted an employee of one of our health centers behaving in a repugnant manner that is inconsistent with our standards of care and is completely unacceptable. And of course, you can see the video right there. I highly suggest that you check it out. So this is some pretty disgusting stuff. And this is precisely what we're talking about. And this is why the border is so important. Why did Democrats push to fund Planned Parenthood using taxpayer dollars? Because they know that we wouldn't give it to us on their own. So they got to take it through different funds. Where does the money go? Well, a lot of it goes into Planned Parenthood, and a lot of it goes into their slush funds or back through their slush funds. Past political donations of Planned Parenthood. What is the process of disposal regarding aborted fetus? Well, I almost don't want to know, but I would imagine they use it for a lot of other things, right? They can use it for stem cell research or all sorts of kinds of things. And that is why this trade is such a big deal. What regulations, who monitors are in place to ensure that process is being followed? Yeah, good question. Ask the FDA about that one, right? Why is there a new push by Democrats to legalize late-term abortion? See past drops regarding Planned Parenthood, regarding congressional report, warning it's graphic. This has nothing to do with a woman's right to choose. That's a tactic that they deploy when challenged to activate liberals' media hysteria. Yeah, they say that we're coming for their body. We're trying to dictate how a woman, controls their body. And the fact of the matter is that there is a human organ and tissue trade going on with a lot of these aborted babies. The focus is on the organization itself. And the next link takes you here. From Crane's New York Business, Crane's power couples, Kirk Adams and Cecile Richards. Executive Director and President, Healthcare Education Project, Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood Action Fund. Well, let's see how they became a power couple. Originally from Texas, where her mother Ann was a legendary governor, Cecile Richards cut her teeth in Washington, D.C. as Deputy Chief of Staff for House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi. Since 2006, she has been president of Planned Parenthood, a New York-based organization. She is repeatedly tasked with defending against conservative detractors. factors. Yeah, well, of course. At a 2015 congressional hearing, she told House Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz to check your sources when he presented a bogus chart at her testimony showing a dramatic increase in the organization's abortion rate. Kirk Adams established himself as a major player in labor through several leadership positions at the powerful Service Employees International Union. Recently, he helped bring the agenda of New York's healthcare industry to the national stage by becoming executive director of the Healthcare Education Project, a lobbying organization run through an unlikely partnership between 1199 SEIU, that's the Service Employees International Union, and the Greater New York Hospital Association. Together, the organizations represent 350,000 healthcare workers and 250 hospitals in New York. So I suppose that would be easy to do some lobbying for Planned Parenthood, since you've got access to 250 hospitals, and once again, we're talking about New York. Q says, ask yourself a very simple question. Given the amount of evidence demonstrating illegal and disturbing activities by Planned Parenthood, where is the FBI investigation? And then it takes you to this 2017 article from Fox, Planned Parenthood under investigation by Justice Department over sale of fetal tissue. Yikes! Yeah, I believe we've talked about this article before. In a letter first obtained by Fox News, a Justice Department Assistant Attorney General for Legislative Affairs, Stephen Boyd, formally requested unredacted documents from the Senate Judiciary Committee, the same panel that led the congressional probe into the Women's Health Organization. The Department of Justice appreciates the offer of assistance in obtaining these materials and would like to request the committee provide unredacted copies of records contained in the report in order to further the department's ability to conduct a thorough and comprehensive assessment of that report based on the full range of information available. Now, keep in mind, this article was back in December 8th of 2017. So this has been going on for a while now. Now, let me just take you down to this right here. In that final report entitled Human Fetal Tissue Research, Context and Controversy, published in December 2016, Grassley referred Planned Parenthood and other providers to the FBI for investigation. Grassley said at the time that the committee has discovered enough evidence that shows how abortion providers had transferred fetal tissue and body parts from aborted fetuses for research by charging amounts higher than they actually cost. Well, that's kind of the gist of it, right? That's exactly why they don't want to get rid of Planned Parenthood. This thing is a massive, massive cash cow. And if this investigation has been going on since 2017, I would imagine that at some point it's probably going to wrap up, maybe in a very timely manner. Over 2 years ago, citizen journalists at the Center for Medical Progress first caught Planned Parenthood's top abortion doctors in a series of undercover videos callously and flippantly negotiating the sale of tiny baby hearts, lungs, livers, and brains, DeLayden said Thursday. It is time for public officials to finally hold Planned Parenthood and their criminal abortion enterprise accountable under the law. Amen to that. The federal investigation by the Trump administration will reopen the years-long debate on whether Planned Parenthood and other providers violated the law with the illegal sale of body parts. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see when this finally wraps up. Like I said, December of 2017. So it's been quite some time. Is there going to be a big drop in regards to the findings in this investigation? This seems to be something that could lead to a criminal investigation after all. And then Q points us out to two names, Rod Rosenstein and Andrew McCabe. Well, what would they have to do with it? Well, we do know that they were in charge of making sure that President Trump was the one that was being investigated. What senior political officials are providing cover to Planned Parenthood? Well, it sounds like could be Rod Rowe and Andrew McCabe. I wouldn't be surprised if Dianne Feinstein is, and I'm sure Nancy Pelosi is too, right? Given her close proximity. Will action be taken by DOJ and FBI? Well, let's hope so. Like I said, we know that this investigation has been going on since 2017. We know that Huber's been looking into a lot of different crimes. Now, a lot of that has to do with the Clinton Foundation. But I'm sure once we investigate the Clinton Foundation, we are likely to see many, many connections to human trafficking and Planned Parenthood. And like I said earlier, this has to do with the sale of body parts. And I just find it very hard to believe that even your unhinged left knucklehead friends are going to be able to get down with that. At some point, when this finally goes dark to light, people are going to understand what this is really, really about. And hopefully Planned Parenthood will not only fold and close its doors, but they will be prosecuted. So will that action be taken by the DOJ and FBI? Well, let's hope so. But I would imagine that it's going to come out at some point, because we've got subpoenas for everybody who signed off on those FISA warrants. And Lindsey Graham just came out saying that. I actually reported it weeks ago. You probably already knew this. So that would have been Rod Rowe, Andrew McCabe, anybody who signed off on these FISA warrants, James Comey, right? So that's a lot of people. What were they covering for? Hopefully we'll see that in 2019. Let's move on to the next post. 2687, 50 minutes after the hour of 11, we get some pictures here. Now, this seems to be a screenshot from Sky News live at Windsor, but it looks like an Irish flag behind her there with a Q on it. And this guy's got his boss face on there right there. He knows how to make the most out of his screen time. Good on you. And over here, we've got Finland. Finland loves Q Anon. I just want to point out that everybody here looks incredibly chill. You gotta love some Finland. I love Finnish people. They're great. And they're all waving their American flags. Thank you so much for that. I love it. And then over here, I'm assuming this is in the UK. We got some flags there. UK, Q, please. Can't say it much better than that. Q, please. Nice. And then we got a nice blue and white Q here. Very cool. Why does fake news media continue to attack a so-called conspiracy? Well, because they know it's not. Did you know there's been 1,000 plus articles written about this movement by the fake news media machine? Hey, Ben Butthurt Collins, how many of those did you write? Google, QAnon Select News, past 30 days. Example, what are they afraid of? People coming together and thinking for themselves. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you get countries like Finland, love that Q right there, the UK, Australia, Ireland, getting together, this is what they're afraid of right there. These people look like thinkers right there. These don't look like knuckleheads right here. These guys look like patriots. Freedom-loving patriots. And that's what they're afraid of right there. Getting us to think for themselves, because that's going to put them right out of business. Well, I hate to break it to you folks, but truth is the new groove that makes your booty move, and that's how it works. People want freedom. People want some truth. People are coming together and thinking for themselves, and that scares the heck out of the mainstream media, which seems to be falling apart at the seams. All right, those are your Q posts for today. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who already do that, and I greatly appreciate all of you helping me get to this channel to 100,000 subscribers. Hopefully we can double that in the next year's time. We will see how it goes, but I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. If you're new to my channel, welcome to you. Please keep in mind that from time to time you'll get unclicked and unnotified and unsubscribed, and that's just how it goes, I guess. That's why we don't give Susan Wojcicki cake. All my links are down below. My Gab, my BitChute, my Brighteon.com. I'm over here at Twitter at IPOT1776. That's at IPOT1776. You can email me. That's down below. And my P.O. box is down below if you want to send something old school. And if you'd like to support the channel, my Patreon link is down below also. All those links are down below. All right, kids, I am going to get off and keep working on some of this research. I lost a lot of the day doing this Q stuff, but it's always great to get this stuff out. It's great to see Q posted again. So until next time, this is Sir Patrick Mac. Stay free.